Hello and welcome back to my channel. In this video, we are going to be discussing 5 different things that is maybe making your market setup look a little more amateur and that could be costing you sales. So for those of you who don't know, my name's Jackie Chaplin. I'm a crochet business owner. I sell online on Etsy and my own website as well as at market events. Also, I do YouTube and I have a podcast, so go check that out. That's like a newer endeavor, but we have almost the full season out now and it is all about starting and running your own handmade business, whether it is crochet or something else. So you guys might like that and I'll have that linked down below. In addition to my own experience, I also have a degree in marketing, and I say that because it's like relevant. I've basically taken a variety of classes to know that aesthetics more or less play a role in, you know, how comfortable a customer is with spending money with you, how much they're willing to spend with you. There's like a lot of psychology to it, which is why I've cited these 5 different things that you may not realize are looking a little more on the unprofessional amateur side, which does not fully instill confidence, and what you could do to like fix them more or less and look a little more put together, a little more polished, and then just help your customers have the confidence in you and your business. And I will say, this is absolutely not to call anybody out. I'm not out here saying you're doing it wrong completely and your business is like a fake business or anything. Like, I don't want anybody to like really fixate on any one of these things and think it's like inherently a negative thing. And I'm saying it's like bad and like you should stop or like stop doing markets altogether. So please don't come at me. This is to help, not to hurt. So, and also I borrowed a lot of these pictures from the interwebs. I'm sure I probably could get in trouble for it. So please don't me out, and they are just for educational purposes. And if any of these happen to be your business, again, please understand this is not meant to on. It is meant to just help give ideas. One final caveat. I know starting out, money is tight. So if you don't have any of these things now, again, please don't think that's me telling you to stop doing markets you're not ready. I'm giving you more or less ideas on what you can spend your money on in the future to upgrade your business. One of these things, until about literally 5 minutes ago, I was still doing, and I am kind of still doing it to a point, and I'll explain it when I get there. And I'm like a year and a half in, so these are not fully make or break things, but it's just things to think about. So first, we're going to start with tablecloths, because it seems like a lot of people go to the dollar store for their first event and get them like a nice patterned vinyl tablecloth from the dollar store. I don't love it. It's typically actually required at some events that you have tablecloths that go from like clear to the top of your table all the way to the floor, and that does typically look the best, and it's strategic because then you can hide the like extra stock, your totes and everything like under your table and like nobody can see it. But in general, the vinyl tablecloths they look like you got them from the dollar store, and because you did, they don't hold up well, and you're gonna have to pull this out and like take it off your table at every single market. So you're gonna get like a couple uses out of it if you're lucky, and it's gonna fall apart anyway, and you're gonna end up costing yourself like more money. But I wanted to show you some pictures real quick about like I just want you to see what I'm talking about basically. So here's some visual aids. These are 2 different styles of tablecloths, and like the setups on them are not terrible. You see like the gray one with like the gray plaid. I actually like that aesthetic, but just that like plaid is giving like vinyl tablecloth and it looks cheap, and then it's making her like stock that's laid out actually pretty well look more like this is, you know, in a church basement somewhere and not like a professional like juried craft fair. And if you guys like this aesthetic, by all means, like you guys do you, but I'm going to show you in a second how much more polished floor length tablecloths can be. And then you see in this other picture, not only is the tablecloth not going to the floor, it's also wrinkled. So if you guys are going to do this kind of style of tablecloth or vinyl tablecloths, at least make sure it's like crispier so it looks a little better, because I do think that's distracting away from her goods. And again, this is another table that's actually set up pretty well. It's being detracted from by the tablecloths. So now here are 2 examples of what I feel like are a good tablecloths, 2 different styles of good tablecloths. You have the pink. These are the kind I like. I'll have these kind of styles linked below through Amazon. They are affiliate links, so if you do buy like tablecloths or whatever through any of the links, I will get like a small commission, but it's just to show you like where you could find these more or less, because I'm not sure if these are sold at like Walmart, you know what I'm saying? So like you might have to go out of your way to order tablecloths that fit like market tables. But yeah, you see the pink, and I know some people will say like either black or white is best. This is an example of how color can be used well. I don't think that they're taking away from her products, probably because her products are kind of like up off the table and like in something more or less. So there's like some separation between like the bright tablecloth and her product. But that pink is going to draw your eye in. Her setup looks nice and like crisp and clean. There's like a clear flow of traffic. It matches her branding on her little sign. So I think this is cute and it just looks better than the gray on gray, I think. And you're still getting some like funky personality with the pink tablecloth. And then we have the black tablecloths. They're just the kind that drape over the tables, but they go all the way to the floor. Again, the tablecloths at all are not distracting from the products in any way. They just kind of fade into the background. But her products are standing out on them. They're not taken away. And notice her tablecloth and the pink tablecloths don't have wrinkles in them, so there's not that detracting away. So just something to think about. I know because I've bought the spandexy kind, like the pink in the past, that you can get like 2 packs for like 10 to 15 bucks. So they're really not crazy. So if you have to do your first like market or two with some vinyl tablecloths before you upgrade that, I do think that is an easy upgrade that can improve your whole setup pretty simply. Though I will say, well, I am a fan of the white tablecloth. If you do the spandexy one, because they go under the legs of the table, maybe don't do white, because if you're doing a lot of outside shows, every time that part's going to be like in the dirt or like on the pavement, and they get dirty fast. So if you're going to do that kind, I would go more darker color or like brighter color or just something that's going to hide that dirt a little bit better, because I did white for my first like set of those tablecloths and like a year in, and I really needed to do it sooner. It was already looking a little rough. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is if you have no branded signs or business cards. It's a little bit hard to say you're not a legitimate business if you don't have a banner, but it's not a little bit hard to say you're not a legitimate business if you don't have a business card. That is your like proof that you've got your business, is like having a business card, and it gives customers a way to find you after the event. So if they want to purchase from you, if you don't have that business card with contact information to hand out, you're literally only limiting yourself to being able to do sales at markets and only at markets. So you have no way to like build a passive income not at the market, because you don't. I've built a lot of repeat sales through meeting customers at markets, and if I didn't have the business card to give them, they likely wouldn't have become repeat customers, is what I'm trying to say. Having a sign at your market that's not handwritten, that's got like a business name and a logo, looks very put together. It gives your customers a way to like recognize your business, because me personally, I have my logo on my sign, I have my logo on my business card, and I wear like a shirt with a logo on it. So now every time somebody comes into my booth, they're like, boom, boom, boom. Okay, you're the crochet girl. Gotcha. Because I'm not just civilian clothes in my booth, because then they don't know, like, is this the booth owner? Is this somebody just shopping because the booth owner stepped away and they're waiting? It's very clear and concise. And where can you get business cards? That's a good question. You can get business cards. I personally make them in Canva, and then I print through Vistaprint. So I will have both those websites linked below. I don't get any sort of commission if you go through them, but like that's just how I do mine. So if you guys want to, that's how you can do yours. Why don't I print with Canva even though I can? I've gotten Canva business cards in the past and they are good quality. However, I find consistently that business cards and banners printed through Canva cost more money than if I just make the design over there and then pop it right into Vistaprint and print it through Vistaprint. So just price compare. If you want to know which is the better deal at the time, I found that Vistaprint is cheaper, so I just take all my designs and go into Vistaprint. That I got my shirts through Vistaprint. I've gotten every banner I've ever had so far through Vistaprint, and now I get my business cards and price tags through Vistaprint. And I'll pop up my business card on the screen right now so you can see it. Is it the most aesthetically like perfect? No, but I do have my picture on it, so like once again, my face is like in the customer's mind. They're gonna recognize me even if they don't like recognize my name, because like my face is everywhere, and I've used whatever pictures on my business card as my profile picture across all social media, so it's the same. We have my business name on it, that logo, the little crochet hand thing, my name, my like title, crochet designer, and then all my social media I fit on this. And you could stop here and save yourself a little money and just print on the front, but I will go ahead and show you the back of my card. It doesn't say a whole lot, but I like it. And I like the double-sidedness. So once again, you have my logo, and then it says specializing in custom crochet plushies and amigurumi pattern design, which is just a little information about me and what I do. And then I got a Sheldon Cooper quote from The Big Bang Theory: "What's life without whimsy? Is this necessary? 100% not. Did I think it was fun, and did it tickle me? Absolutely." So make you some business cards. It can be fun. I personally advocate for white background, black text, and then maybe some graphics with color. Though I have seen it work if you do like a full colored business card. But the first couple of business cards I had for like various businesses were very colorful, and I do think that looks a little more amateur. So just if you got a strong like eye for design, I think you could pull it off. If you're like me and you do not, I would go simple black and white. That's why I did simple black and white, and I've got little pops of green in there, and that's carried over like through my business and coincidentally my podcast, but that was not an accident. I'm just kind of vibing with that color this year, I guess. So consider doing some signage. Now we're gonna look at some signage and see what I would describe as bad signage versus what I would describe as good signage. So here, let's ignore the fact that they've got 47 different tablecloths going on. I kind of like the eclectic look, but I also kind of think this layered look could have been put together just a little better, you know, clean it up a little bit, like it's draping the ground. I don't love that, but I do kind of like the vibe they were going for. But I want to start with their sign all the way on the back. It says Blue Room something or other, and it's on the like little tassel thing. If that's the size sign currently that you can afford to get professionally printed, I would say either stick that on a table so it's going to be closer to like where your customer is going to be and put your table like up front, or I would say skip it for now until you could afford a sign that like if I'm standing at the front of your booth and your sign's at the back of your booth, I can still like read it, preferably maybe a couple of feet out from your booth, because the point of having like a big fancy sign is not only to let customers know when they're in your booth, but so they could kind of see like what you sell walking by. And that is just a very tiny sign, and I think it looks a little odd. I think we can agree because it is such a small sign. And now having signs professionally printed can be kind of spendy, so I do think it's a good idea to use their little chalkboard signs that you could see hanging from the chair and hanging from the whatever that display is. I'm not really sure, but I do think they're giving a little more like haphazardly laid there. I have nowhere else to put this, so this is just gonna have to be where it is, because I'm thinking that the sign that's on the chair is for the stuff that's in the chair, but it's not even like above it, you know, it's creating that like weird diagonal line. So I just don't think, as far as handwritten signs go, that this was the best use of them. And I want to show you, if you're on the handwritten sign kind of game, what that could look like a little more put together. So here's an example of this handwritten sign. It's crisp, it's clear that it's for all the things in that area. The handwriting's nice. If you don't have handwriting like that, your best bet is to find somebody who does if you're going to handwrite your sign, or maybe take your time and do it as many times as you need to get it crisp, because, you know, a messy sign just looks messy. And I know we can't really fully help our handwriting, but I think if we slowed down, we could probably tighten it up a little bit, or like ask your friend for help. I'm kind of middle ground personally, I think, but my stepmom has some banging handwriting. It looks like this naturally, and she could do it fast too, which blows my mind. You see the, you know, handwritten sign, it's crisp, it's clear. I could tell she's got like a sale. The price list is like perfectly labeled. And then you see she didn't spend a ton of money to have the signs with the prices for her little tags printed. I'm betting she like printed that at home, cut that at home, but she's got them clipped to each little bin that they go to. So this is like a little more balling on a budget, but it looks really good. So if this is like where you're at in your business, I think you can do it with like at-home stuff, but just be mindful of how you're doing it so it can look more put together, so it's not detracting away from your like nice professional looking products. Now let's go to the next thing. We are going to be talking about commercial tents. This is where the big money starts to happen, because you can get some business cards pretty affordably. You can get a banner of a decent size pretty affordably. Some like bigger ones can be upwards of $100, but you definitely don't have to go that big. My banner is so big, I almost kind of regret it because I like sit in front of it, which kind of isn't great. Okay, so my camera died and now it's a few days later. So we were just getting into talking about commercial tents. And this is where like your big money is going to kind of come in if you're like moving from, you know, a Walmart, like Ozark Trail style tent to an actual commercial tent, because those tend to start around $100 and then just go up from there. And it depends on if you're staying 10 by 10 or going 10 by 20. If you're going 10 by 20, you could spend upwards of like $500 to $600 to start. So it just really kind of depends on what you're looking for as far as your tent goes. But you should 100% look to, as early as you feasibly can, upgrade your tent, because camping tents are meant for the occasional camping trips. And it's not that they're necessarily necessarily poor quality, but with like a little like camping canopy situation, they're not meant to stay outside for long periods of time. They're not necessarily meant for like repeated opening and closing every other weekend. They're not necessarily meant to stand up to like, you know, serious weather conditions or stay in like the beating sun for like 8 hours at a time for every event you do. So they're just going to wear out a lot faster than a commercial tent, which was made with the expectation of repeatedly opening and closing it, with it sitting out in the sun for long periods of time, with it being in wind. And you're going to get a lot more bang for your buck if you just go like right to the commercial tent route, if you can. And then they just tend to look better. So I will put up a picture now of how you can tell a commercial tent versus like a non-commercial tent. So this is a picture of a non-commercial tent. You can see it's got like slanted legs. A lot of non-commercial tents don't come in white as a color. So commercial tents do come in colors now, but typically that's another way you could tell. If like it's got a colored top and slanted legs, it is likely some type of like Ozark Trail brand tent or something similar like that. It is not a commercial tent. And these can be a little bit of an eyesore, and this is not meant to be offensive, but it can be like a little bit of an eyesore at events, because commercial tents have like legs that go straight to the ground, and you could kind of see the little bit in like this picture, the tent next to it, it's got nice vertical legs, and then there's like a little gap, and then it's this like non-commercial tent that just kind of disrupts like the flow if you were like looking at it like big picture of the event. So it does just kind of detract a little bit. No, it's not totally make or break, and I've seen people, you know, in these non-commercial tents do okay at events. It's not gonna like crush your sales, but it is one of the things that I would change early on, just because I like can tell you these, I've seen it happen, do not stand up to wind very well. If you get some serious wind or like some rain and it like pools on like your canopy, the like top part of your tent, it is going to bend all those little bars inside the tent. And those tents literally only tend to have like from the corners going up to the middle something to like hold them up, whereas a commercial tent, usually on the inside, there's like a full like internal frame under the roof that holds up like a lot better, and they don't tend to bend in wind unless you're getting like full like tornado type of wind, and then you know, but this is not standing up in a tornado either. And I tried to pick a commercial tent that kind of had the same vibe as the non-commercial tent, just so you could see like it already like helps elevate the look of the stuff. Like both of these people are doing like some type of like material things, and it's organized similar. They both have like little corner displays and racks, and it just like looks more elevated with the nice white commercial tent vibes. And if you are getting a commercial tent, I really do recommend doing white. I know it's like boring, but if you're gonna do fancier shows like juried events, they tend to require white tents because they want it to look very like uniform and put together. So you know, if you get a white tent, you're just not gonna like disqualify yourself from doing like any events, because if it's a requirement, it's gonna be for a white tent, and if it's not, then it's still gonna like look nice. But like that's up to you, because I've been to plenty of events where that's not a thing, the requirement for a white tent, and I've seen people like match their tent to like their tablecloths, and it can like look really nice too. But just something to keep in mind if you did not know that was a thing and you are going to like make the purchase of your like first big commercial tent. I would consider that. And I would also consider, I really like my tent, and I guess I'll try to grab a screenshot from like Amazon and like pop it up here. We'll do it. And yeah, sorry if those other pictures were covering my face. I forgot I needed to move to like give space. But yeah, I have a tent with cute little windows, and I really like it. But this kind of tent is not necessarily good if you're leaving your stuff overnight at any event, because you can see right into it. And I have left my tent overnight, and thankfully nothing's happened so far, other than like a weather issue, which that wouldn't have mattered. White sides, clear sides, ink sides, but just something to keep in mind, because I did not think of it when I first got started, that was maybe not necessarily the best choice for leaving things overnight. But a lot of walls for tents tend to be like kind of universal. So in the picture you can see that's a Euromax tent. I have an ABC canopy tent. That's my preferred brand personally, but I've heard good things about Euromax. The walls tend to be universal, so like if I wanted to get like all white walls, I could like swap them, and they're not terribly expensive. expensive, but also I just don't because I don't. My tent, because I have cute walls, was a little more expensive. It was pushing like the 200 range, but you guys don't need that. And like I said, it definitely has its drawbacks, so consider that. But I will like link to ABC Canopy tents specifically down below if you wanted to check them out. Because like I said, I can speak to that brand. I have that brand of tent. Rebecca, if you guys watch the podcast, she does events with me. She's a different kind of vendor. She does jewelry, but she also has an ABC Canopy tent, and we both 12 out of 10. The next thing, and I was quote unquote guilty of this until recently, and I was still kind of am guilty of this, but it's okay. The next thing that's potentially making your market setup look a little more amateur is if you have handwritten tags, like if you're doing like little just like craft tags or like little white tags and you're handwriting the price. It is not necessarily super cute, and I am still going to be writing my tags, and here's an example of like a handwritten tag. See, it can still be cute. Like, these aren't terrible, they don't look bad necessarily, but it is a little more amateur than if you have like a nice branded tag, because like think of like Walmart. When you go, all the tags like look the same, the prices are just different. I don't stock the same items every single time, so I can't just like have printed tags that say like the product name and the price on them and just buy more when I run out, because I change what I have in stock pretty much market to market. Some stuff I keep, but others I don't. So I went and got me a branded tag that I can then handwrite on, and I have decent handwriting, so this is like another time to call like your good friend if you're gonna go the branded tag route. But I wanted to show you mine. I printed these through Vistaprint. You can see my logo, and then it says handcrafted with whimsy, love, and attention to detail, and then there's a spot for the price and the product, and then a little QR code that goes right to my website, and then on the back it also doubles as a thank you card. And now, are these a little big for my products? Maybe, but I'm trying them out, and I do think it is a step up from my just like little brown craft tags. And you know who has some bangin' tags? Cameron's Cute Creations. So I won't lie, I stole some pictures from her Instagram, and I'm going to pop them up on the screen here. You can see this hat. She's got like her little branded tag, and there's her like SKU number in the corner for it. It's not like the price. Her price is on like the underside of the tag. Look at her tags. They look super fancy on this little hat. And then you could see them on all her products in the background of this picture, and it's just like a consistency. It looks very put together, and I think like if you can afford to do that, I would. Now, is this one like a high priority thing? Absolutely not. I'm like a year and a half in, and this is my first time ever trying anything out with like a branded tag. And like I said, mine is still gonna have like a handwritten component because I changed my stock. So I want to be able to like, you know, write the information I need. I can't for my business have them just say like large $15, medium $15, because I'm not doing something like clothing where I'm gonna stock the same thing or the same size every time, if that makes sense. But I just think this looks elevated. And like I said, this is not priority type thing, but just if you're thinking like, how can I elevate my situation? And if you've already like met the other things on this list, this is something to consider. That's why I'm like at this point myself. I've got the business card, I've got the banners, I've got the commercial tent. What else can I do to like make it look a little fancier in here? And I'm gonna try out the branded tags and we'll see. I think on something like this size, that size tag is okay, and maybe something this size, but I do some smaller stuff. So the smaller stuff I might still just put in like a basket and have like a handwritten label like on the basket versus tagging everything individually, just because if the octa is that big but the tag's like that big, that could be a little weird. But you know, I'm learning and trying together. I'm trying to follow like my own advice, and we'll see how it goes. But I do think, just objectively speaking, a little craft tag this big that's like handwritten versus like a nice branded tag that says thank you on the back, it just looks better. And then the last thing that is something that takes practice, that does not cost any money to fix, so I wanted to leave you guys on like a potential high note, is having a chaotic display. If you have a chaotic display, it could be overwhelming to customers. It could be hard for them to browse. It could be hard to get like a feel of what you have going on, and they might just like avoid it altogether because there's like a such thing called decision paralysis, and nobody wants like 1,000 options because it's like overwhelming. So hopefully if you guys are doing markets and you're watching this channel, you're like a crochet vendor and have already narrowed down to like just like crochet products products. But if not, if you're trying to treat your market like a flea market or like a yard sale where you have like some crochet stuff, but then you have some of this that you brought from home and you also have some of that, I would recommend to refine down to just one type of thing. And I don't mean literally just one type of thing. Like if you want to do plushies and wearables and towels, all three of those things are like in crochet. So you still have like crochet as your niche, but then just like group the like objects together and like refine it a bit. But yeah, you should absolutely not be treating your market like it's a yard sale. And it could be like a hindrance if you are. And I just urge you to check in and see if you're doing that. And now how I would arrange like towels and plushies if you are doing both. Have your plushies and then have like your seasonal section of like plushies, and then you can go like right into your seasonal towels, because I know a lot of people who do like towel toppers, they're like season themed, you know, this is my Christmas towels, these are my Christmas plushies, and then do the rest. So you have like kind of a progression, if that makes sense. But then just kind of like experiment and just make sure your setup looks, you know, organized and put together and like very intentional and not just like strewn about. And we'll look at this picture that I found online. I'll credit Made Urban, and they have a good article, which I'll link below if you want to go check it out, about this. So this is a good example of what I'm talking about. Their first table, they have some like cosmetic bags. They have some like pot holder things you could see, and just kind of like some random stuff. It doesn't go together, like cosmetic bags and pot holders. Not even in the same part of the house. You feel me? So when they refined, they were able to like get rid of some of those products and then organize by color, and it looks like a lot neater. And this is an example also, just accidentally, of making sure your tablecloth looks nice, because that wrinkle tablecloth is really detracting also. But when it's like all just like smooth and white, it looks fancy. It looks pretty. And that's the same tablecloth, and they kept the same display pieces and they kept the same products. They just took out some things and refined. They did not go out and buy other displays. So you likely can work with what you have. You just might need to like refine and organize. And that's definitely something that takes practice, but there's Facebook groups dedicated to like vendors and like having people check out like your display and give you tips. So you could potentially join one of those Facebook groups and see. I also have a Facebook group if you want to join it. It's a small group still, but we're working on growing it. But if you want to pop over there and post pictures of your market setup, there's plenty of people that like watch this channel that already do markets that can maybe provide tips. So head on over there and post your pictures, and then you can get some feedback that way, and I'll have that linked below. So just as far as doing your table, just make sure you have a clear niche. Like make sure your main thing is like crochet, or your main thing is plushies, and like that's what you're focusing on, and you know, kind of build from there. They refined to like mainly bathroom products and then organized by color. That could be a way to do it. I try to organize for the most part by like animal and section. Like I have like a whole aquatic grid wall, and then I have like kind of a seasonal grid wall, and then I put like, when I have mystery bags, all my mystery bags together on like one grid wall. It doesn't necessarily have like a clear flow, but I also like keep a U shape so like the traffic has a clear flow, and then I just kind of try to group like products together. Is it like perfect? No. But that's part of the issue with doing what I do, which is not having like a consistent inventory and just making things I want. Sometimes like some of the things don't fit in perfectly with other things. But at the end of the day, I still do pretty much all crochet plushies. So at least there's like a clear defined niche, and somebody can like view my tent from the outside and know what's in there. You know what I'm saying? So just something to think about. So there you have it. That's 5 things that could be making your setup look a little bit unprofessional, which could be costing you sales, and what you can do to, I don't want to say fix, because these are not necessarily inherently like bad or wrong, but what you can adjust, I should say, to like level up your setup and make it look basically like somebody is walking into a store, but it's a store in your tent. I personally like that vibe. I want my booth and my business to look like a well curated boutique that's cohesive and clear about like what's going on, and like it helps basically tell the customer without me telling them what I do and like what I'm into. Obviously, if you don't feel that way, you know, and like a little bit of everything is your thing, then maybe ignore me. But if you're trying to also like establish like a clear brand message for your customer, this is some stuff that you could change to like make things a little more clear and concise, and so it's inviting to your customer. That is all. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down in the description below. I do respond to every comment. I'm a little slow about it sometimes, but I definitely do. Also, subscribe, I should be asking for that in every video, but I also forget. But yeah. And don't forget to check out the links in the description because I'm going to link to things that are potentially helpful for this. I only get commission on things you buy from like Amazon, but I'm going to link to Canva below and Vistaprint below because those are like the platforms I use to make my marketing materials. So they're good and I like them. So you guys might want to check them out too. That is all. And I will see you guys in the next one, and goodbye. I should also just pointed out that I said comment in the description below, and if I did, I meant comment in like the comments below. And yeah, so